Drinking alcohol, smoking, and drug use are harmful to health.
The rain was relentless, hammering the windshield of my old sedan like it had a personal grudge. I sat in the driver's seat, parked on the edge of Havenport, a sleepy coastal town that smelled of salt and regret. My name's Ethan Cole, private investigator, though investigator might be generous. Most days I chased cheating spouses or dug up dirt for divorce lawyers. But tonight, something felt different. The call I'd gotten 2 hours ago from a woman named Clara Henshaw had a tremor in it, the kind that sticks in your bones. "I need you to find my sister, Mr. Cole," she'd said, voice tight. "Lila's been missing for 3 days. The police, they're not listening." Havenport was an hour's drive from my office in the city, but the urgency in Clara's voice pulled me here. I checked my watch. 9:47 p.m. The address she'd given me was a small house on Cliff Street, a narrow lane overlooking the ocean. I grabbed my notebook, tucked my revolver into its holster under my jacket, and stepped into the storm. The house was a weathered 2-story with peeling white paint and a sagging porch. The windows glowed faintly, like the place was holding its breath. I knocked, and the door creaked open almost immediately. Clara Henshaw stood there, mid-30s, with dark circles under her eyes and hair pulled back in a messy bun. She looked like she hadn't slept since her sister vanished. "Mr. Cole?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I nodded. "Ethan, you're Clara?" She stepped aside, letting me in. The living room was cluttered but cozy. Bookshelves, a worn sofa, a coffee table littered with empty mugs. A photo on the mantel caught my eye. 2 women, arms around each other, laughing on a beach. One was Clara. The other, I assumed, was Lila. "Tell me everything," I said, sitting across from her. Clara twisted her hands together. "Lila's my younger sister. She's 28, works at the library. 3 days ago, she didn't come home. She texted me that morning, said she was meeting someone after work. That's the last I heard from her." "Who was she meeting, Aldo?" Clara shook her head. "She didn't say, just that it was important. The police found her car near the pier, but no sign of her. They think she might have..." Her voice broke. I leaned forward. "You don't believe that?" Her eyes met mine, fierce. "Lila wouldn't. She loves life. She's out there. I know it." I scribbled notes. "Any enemies? Boyfriends? Debts?" "No enemies. She was seeing someone, but it wasn't serious. His name's Tom Wells. He's a mechanic in town. The police questioned him. He has an alibi." I raised an eyebrow. "Solid alibi?" "He was at the bar with friends. Witnesses confirmed it." I tapped my pen against the notebook. "What about the person she was meeting?" Clara hesitated. "She'd been acting strange for a week or 2. Secretive. I thought she was just stressed, but now, I don't know." I stood. "Mind if I look at her room?" Clara led me upstairs to a small bedroom. Lila's space was tidy, with a quilted bedspread and a desk piled with books. I checked the drawers, the closet, the usual spots. Nothing stood out until I found a locked diary tucked under a pile of sweaters. I held it up. "Got a key for this?" Clara frowned. "No, she never let anyone read it." I pocketed the diary with a nod. "I'll take a look. Might have something." Back in the living room, Clara handed me a spare key to Lila's car and her phone's last known location data, courtesy of a police contact she'd charmed. "Find her, Ethan, please." The desperation in her eyes hit me hard. "I'll do my best." The pier was deserted, the storm keeping even the drunks indoors. Lila's car, a blue Honda, sat in the lot, cordoned off with police tape. I slipped under it, using my flashlight to check the interior. Nothing obvious. No blood, no signs of a struggle. The glove compartment held receipts and a parking pass. I popped the trunk, empty, except for a spare tire and a gym bag. The rain eased as I walked the pier, scanning for cameras. A single one hung on a lamppost, but it was angled toward the lot. If someone took Lila, they'd have been careful to avoid it. I checked my phone for the location data Clara sent. Lila's phone last pinged here at 8:13 p.m., 3 nights ago. Then it went dead. Back in my car, I cracked open the diary with a paperclip. Lila's handwriting was neat, but the entries were cryptic. The last one, dated the day she vanished, read, "Meeting R at the pier. I know the truth now. I can't let this go." R, I muttered. No one named R had come up yet. I jotted it down and drove to the only bar in town, the Rusty Anchor. The bar was a dive, all dim lights and sticky floors. A dozen locals nursed beers, their eyes tracking me as I approached the counter. The bartender, a grizzled man with a beard, sized me up. "Looking for Tom Wells," I said. He jerked his thumb toward a corner booth, where a lanky guy in his 30s sat, staring at a half-empty glass. I slid in across from him. "Tom Wells?" He looked up, eyes bloodshot. "Who are you?" "Ethan Cole. I'm looking into Lila Henshaw's disappearance." His face darkened. "I already told the cops everything. Tell me, what was Lila like that day?" Tom leaned back, rubbing his neck. "She was distracted. Kept checking her phone. Said she had to meet someone but wouldn't say who. We argued about it. I got mad, left for the bar." "Argued about what?" "Her being so damn secretive. I thought she was cheating." "Was she?" He shrugged. "Don't know. She broke it off with me that afternoon. Said it wasn't working." I studied him. His alibi was solid, but his bitterness was palpable. "You know anyone with the initial R?" He frowned. "No, why?" I ignored the question. "Where were you between 8 and 9 p.m. that night?" "Here. Ask anyone." I left him with my card and stepped outside, lighting a cigarette. The diary's R nagged at me. I needed more on Lila's life. I drove to the library where she worked, a squat brick building near the town square. It was closed, but a janitor let me in after I flashed a 20. Lila's desk was in a corner office, stacked with books on local history. I rifled through her files, finding nothing but overdue notices. Then, under a stack of papers, I found a photo of Lila with a man I didn't recognize, older, maybe 50, with gray hair and a sharp jaw. I pocketed it and left. Clara was waiting at her house when I returned. I showed her the photo. "Know him?" Her eyes widened. "That's Richard Vale. He's the mayor." "Mayor?" My pulse quickened. R for Richard. He was Lila's boss at the library's historical society. They worked together on town archives. Close? Clara hesitated. She respected him. He mentored her. I flipped to the diary's last page. "Meeting R at the pier. I know the truth now." "What's Vale like?" "Charming, ambitious. He's running for re-election next month." I thanked her and drove to Vale's office at Town Hall. It was late, but a light burned in his window. I knocked, and a polished man in a suit opened the door. Richard Vale, matching the photo. "Mr. Cole," he said, reading my card. "Clara mentioned you. Any news on Lila?" His calm demeanor set my teeth on edge. "Working on it. Mind if I ask about your relationship with her?" Vale sat behind his desk, unfazed. Lila was a valued colleague. Bright, dedicated. Her disappearance is tragic. "You see her the night she vanished?" No, I was at a campaign dinner. Dozens of witnesses. Another airtight alibi. I leaned forward. She left a note about meeting R at the pier. Said she knew the truth. Any idea what that means? His smile didn't waver, but his eyes flickered. None. Lila was private. Perhaps a personal matter? I left unconvinced. Vale's smoothness screamed control, and control often hid secrets. I needed leverage. I called an old contact, Jimmy, a hacker who owed me a favor. Dig up everything on Richard Vale. Finances, emails, anything. The next morning, Jimmy's email arrived. Vale's campaign was funded heavily by a local real estate developer, Marcus Kane. Kane owned half the town's waterfront, including a derelict warehouse near the pier. I drove there, a crumbling brick building surrounded by chain-link fencing. The lock was rusted. A quick shove got me in. The warehouse was dark, reeking of mold. My flashlight caught glints of broken glass and graffiti. In the back, I found a locked door. I picked it, revealing a small office. Inside was a filing cabinet stuffed with documents, land deeds, contracts, and a ledger marked Havenport Redevelopment. Skimming it, I saw payments to Vale, labeled consulting fees. Shady, but not proof of kidnapping. Then I heard a creak. I drew my gun and spun, heart pounding. A rat scurried across the floor. I exhaled, but the unease lingered. This place felt wrong. Back at my motel, I called Clara. Does Lila know Marcus Kane? The developer? She mentioned him once. Said he was pushy about buying the library's land for a condo project. She was against it. I hung up, piecing it together. Lila uncovers something about Vale and Kane, maybe corruption tied to the redevelopment. She meets Vale to confront him, and she vanishes. But both men had alibis. I needed more. I tailed Vale that night. He drove to a mansion on the cliffs, Kane's place. Through binoculars, I saw them arguing in the study. Vale looked tense. Kane was gesturing wildly. I couldn't hear them, but it wasn't a friendly chat. I snapped photos and waited. The next day, Jimmy sent more dirt. Vale's bank account showed large deposits from Kane's company, backdated months. Lila's diary mentioned the truth about R. If she'd found these payments, she might have threatened to expose Vale. But where was she? I returned to the warehouse, this time at dusk. A black SUV was parked outside. I crouched behind a dumpster as two men emerged, Kane and a burly guy with a scar on his face. They carried a duffel bag to the SUV and drove off. I followed, keeping my distance. They stopped at a marina. Scarface hauled the bag onto a boat, and they sped into the foggy bay. I rented a skiff and followed, the engine's hum barely audible over the waves. 30 minutes out, they stopped near a buoy. Scarface dumped the bag overboard. My stomach dropped. Lila. I gunned the skiff forward, shouting, "Stop!" Scarface spun, drawing a gun. A shot cracked past my ear. I dove behind the helm, firing back. My bullet hit Scarface's shoulder. He fell. Kane raised his hands, panicked. "Don't shoot! It's not what you think!" I zip-tied them both and checked the water. The bag was gone, sunk. I called the Coast Guard, my hands shaking. Kane babbled, "It was just money. Dirty cash, not a body." "Where's Lila?" I growled, pressing my gun to his temple. "I don't know. Vale said she was a problem, but I swear I didn't touch her." The Coast Guard arrived, hauling Kane and Scarface away. Divers later recovered the bag, stuffed with cash, not Lila. Kane's story held. He was cleaning Vale's bribes, but he denied knowing about Lila. Vale, meanwhile, was untouchable. His alibi ironclad. Clara was a wreck when I told her. "Then where is she?" "I'm not done," I said, but doubt gnawed at me. Back at the motel, I pored over the diary again. A loose page fell out. A map of Havenport with a circled spot. An old lighthouse, abandoned years ago. I drove there at dawn. The lighthouse was crumbling, its door boarded shut. I pried it open, gun drawn. Inside, the air was thick with dust. A faint noise, a whimper, came from below. I found a trap door to a basement. There, tied to a chair, was Lila. She was alive, but battered, her eyes wide with fear. "Ethan?" I cut her free, heart racing. "Who did this?" "Vale," she rasped. "I found his payments from Kane. He locked me here to keep me quiet." I carried her to my car and called Clara. At the hospital, Lila told the police everything. Vale's corruption, the redevelopment scam, her confrontation at the pier. He'd drugged her, stashed her in the lighthouse, planning to deal with her after the election. Vale was arrested that night. His campaign dinner alibi fell apart when a waiter admitted to lying for cash. Kane flipped on him, spilling details of their scheme. The police found Lila's phone in Vale's car, sealing his fate. Clara hugged me at the station, tears streaming. "Thank you, Ethan." I nodded, exhausted. Driving out of Havenport, the rain started again, washing the town's shadows away. But some weights, I knew, would linger.